So, we all know Toby Carvery as the place to go for carvery, but how does it compare with its competitors? Well, today I'm going to find out because I'm going to be trying them out to see who's best. So let's start off first with Toby Carvery. So Toby Carvery is probably the only place people know about to go for a carvery, but there are other places out there, just not as well known, and I'll be showing you one a little bit later on. But first we have to visit Toby and see what the food is like and what it has to offer. Let's head in and check it out. So Toby's don't just do a carvery, there are other things on the menu, but does anybody even get those? Who knows? I'm here for the most popular meal, the carvery. Plus a pot of tea for a quick drink before I head up to the food counter to get my meal. Right, so here is the meat station. You get to choose which meats you want, so if you don't like one, you can get some of the others. For me, I'm getting a sample of all of them. The way this carvery works is, you get the meats and then you get your veg, which you can have as much as you like. The meats you can only have one serving of, but the veg you can come up as many times as you want. For me, just like the meats, I'm going to get a sample of everything. So here is my plate of food. How great does that look? But I think I've forgotten something. The gravy. Let's head back and get some. There's 2 giant pots of gravy, and just like the veg, you can have as much as you want. Okay, now this is how it's supposed to look. A huge plate of meat and veg, covered in gravy. I think it's time to eat. I'm going to start off with the mash. It's one of my favourite ways to have potatoes. It's covered in the gravy, and I think there's a bit of parsley garnish on top too. Let's go in for a bite of this. Very nice. The mash is thick and buttery. You get the flavour of the potato. I like mine a bit more buttery, but I guess that's down to personal taste. The gravy adds a meatiness to the bite that makes it very satisfying to eat. Let's move on to the roast potatoes. There's a few different potato options to choose from, and I've got a sample of each. So this is roast potatoes with beef dripping. Let's try it out. Very good. There's a meaty caramelised flavour to the outside, not so much of a crisp to it, it's more soft with the chew. The inside is full of great potato flavour, the texture is soft and the meaty gravy just tops it all off. The third kind of potato I got is a baked one, so it's been cut into small slices and baked in I think some sort of sauce. Let's see how it tastes. Pretty good. The outside has a baked potato flavour, almost like a jacket potato. There's maybe a bit of creaminess to it, and again the gravy tops it all off. I'm going to move on to the stuffing. I think it might be the only thing I've missed with the gravy, so we'll get to taste it as it is. Let's do it. Decent. The texture is a bit soft and stodgy. I don't think there's too much flavour I can taste, maybe a hint of onion. I think it needs gravy. Let's move on to the veg. There's quite a few different options to choose from. I went with some cabbage, carrots and peas, with the gravy on top of course. Very tasty. I think this next one is cauliflower with a creamy sauce and maybe a bit of paprika on top. Let's try it out. Very nice. This is probably my favourite veg so far. It's time now for the main event. Let's start off with the Yorkshire pudding. They're pretty big ones you get here, and I like filling the middle of mine with a bit of gravy. Let's try it. delicious. It's crispy and crunchy on the outside with a really nice baked bready flavour. The gravy again just adds that meatiness to the bite. It's a great food pairing. Right, it's meat time. The first one I've got is turkey. It looks like I've got an outer part rather than the inner breast part. Let's try it. It's a little dry, I have to admit. Let's move on next to the gammon. I've cut off a little piece of it here. There's not too much gravy on it, so I get to taste the pure flavours. Let's do it. Very nice gammon. And now we've got arguably the king of the meats, the roast beef. It's been sitting on the bottom, so it's covered in all the juice from the meal and gravy. I think I know this is gonna be great. And it is. Right, it's combo bite time, and here I've got the turkey, onion, roast potato, carrot, and a bit of stuffing, all coated in that lovely gravy. Let's eat it. Delicious. I think I need to do one with each of the meats. So this one is cabbage, creamy cauliflower, peas, Yorkshire pudding, and gammon. Here it goes. Amazing. And for the best bite of all, the roast potato, carrot, Yorkshire pudding, and roast beef. This is really going to top it all off. Incredible. Now it did say you got pork and gammon, but I couldn't really tell the difference between the two. They kind of felt the same. But by far my favourite meat was the beef. It was delicious. So this was a great meal. If I could do it all again, I think I would only get the beef and more of it instead of all the meats, as it was so much better than the others. The combo bites though are for sure where you get the best from this meal, because there's so many different items that you just have to combine them. Every bite though needs to have some gravy on it, as it just adds so much flavour and tops off each bite. What a great meal that was. The beef was delicious. So the total cost of that meal was £11.98. Let's move on next to a competitor carvery. So the competitor place I'm going to is called the Barnbow. It's a place that offers a carvery just like Toby's. There's probably loads of places like this across the country, and this is the one I've decided to go to for comparison. Let's head in. The menu is pretty large, with a lot of meals on offer, from pizzas to wraps and fish and chips to burgers, so your typical pub food. But it also offers a carvery too, which is the one I'm going to go for. I'm going to go large too to make it a similar price to Toby's to see what you get for a similar price. Plus I ordered a cup of tea as my drink, so let's have a quick cup before we go up and get the carvery. So here is the carvery station, and it looks very similar to the one at Toby's. You have the veg on one side and the meat on the other. The carvery works in exactly the same way, so you choose your meats, which you can only have one serving of. So you can just pick one and have a bit more of that, or you can choose to have a bit of everything, which is what I did. And because I went large, I think that means I get a little bit extra of everything too. So an extra Yorkshire pudding and a sausage. With the veg, I'm going to get a bit of everything too, just so I can sample what they're like. You also get to pour your own gravy and have as much as you like. One thing I did notice though is that the gravy is on the thinner side, but I suppose it is down to the taste, so we'll have to taste it and see. There is also a sauce area, which I don't think you get at Toby's unless I'm mistaken. So you have a choice between mint, cranberry, horseradish, mustard and ketchup. I think I'm going to go with a bit of cranberry to go with the turkey and a bit of horseradish to go with the beef. Right, so here it is, the finished Toby Carvery. It looks fantastic and I can't wait to dig in, so let's do it. I'm going to start off with the mash. I've only got a little bit of it as I wanted to leave space for everything else. It does look good though, and it has a nice covering of gravy on it. Let's go in for a taste. Very good. The mash is thick and buttery, you get the flavour of the potato and the texture is good too. The gravy is not bad, it does have a bit of a meaty taste and combines well with the mash. Let's move on to the roast potatoes. Now these look like they've been roasted well. There's a lot of colour on them. Probably some of the most roasted potatoes I've seen for a while. Let's see how they taste. Pretty good. These feel exactly how a jacket potato feels. The outside is slightly crisp with more of a chew and the jacket potato skin flavour. The inside is soft and has a great potato taste. It's pretty good. Let's move on to the veg. It's the usual suspects they serve, such as peas, carrots and cabbage. But they do have this one which I didn't quite catch, so let's try it and see what it is. So this is a leek in a creamy sauce. So you get that oniony flavour from the leek that has a bit of a crunch to it. And then the creaminess from the sauce. I like it. Next up we have the cauliflower. I think this again has a creamy sauce and maybe some paprika on top as well. Let's give it a try. Very nice. You get a creamy flavour as soon as you bite into it. The cauliflower is not completely soft, so you do still have a bite to it as well. It's got a great flavour too. It's good cauliflower. The stuffing is the next thing I'm going to try. I did get a good sized chunk of it, so I'm not going to be eating this all in one go. I'm going to cut off a small piece. Let's try it. Decent. There is a bit of a crunch to the outside and a slightly baked flavour. The inside is soft and crumbly with a hint of maybe sage or onion, or maybe even both. Onto the Yorkshire pudding. You would normally only get one, but because I went large, I got two. I think if you only get one, it's a bit of a disappointment, as it's one of the best things, especially with it only being a relatively small one. Anyway, let's try it out. Very nice. You get a lovely crunch when you bite into it, especially on the outer top edges. The middle and bottom are softer with a nice chew and flavour. I like it. Right, I think it's time to try out the meats, and I'm going to start off with the sausage. Again, this was included as I went large. Let's try it. Very good. The outside has a snap to it. The inside is juicy and has a slightly salty, meaty flavour. It's a good sausage. Let's move on to the gammon. It does look a little dry, I have to be honest, but there is a layer of fat on the outside, which I think might help it. Let's try it and see. Very nice. It's surprisingly not dry, but has a great salty, meaty flavour, and the fat just adds a bit of creaminess to it. Moving on to the turkey. Now turkey is one of those meats that tends to be dry at most places. In fact, I don't think I've ever had turkey where it's not been dry. Not to my recollection anyway. Let's see what this one is like. It's dry. I think you could tell from the close-up what it's like. A bit tough and not the most juicy. Let's move on to the beef. Now this one looks a bit better. I think you can already tell it looks fresher, it looks meatier, and I can't wait to try it. So let's do it. Delicious. It's full of beefy flavour. It's meaty in taste and texture. It has a good chew to it. It's good beef. Right, I think it's time for some combo bites. This first one is a simple one, just to start things off. So we've got mash, sausage, Yorkshire pudding, and a bit of gravy on top. Very tasty. Now for the gammon combo. I've got the gammon, the roast potato, stuffing, and some of that creamy leek. Here it goes. Delicious. And now the turkey combo. Let's see if the other items help make the turkey a bit better than it is. They do indeed. This just might be my favourite bite out of all of them. I've got Yorkshire pudding, roast beef, mash, and creamy cauliflower. Amazing. I almost forgot I did get some sauces too that I haven't tried yet. Let's do the cranberry first in a combo bite with the turkey. Very good. And how about some of the horseradish with a roast beef combo bite? This looks fantastic. Let's eat it. Delicious. What a nice meal this was. And there was actually quite a bit of meat included hiding under all the veg. More than what you get at Toby Carvery. So if you do come here, it's worth going large. Having the extra sauces on the side is another bonus too, as they work really well with combo bites and combine the flavours together, adding a bit of extra sweetness or a bit of a kick with the horseradish. What a nice carvery that was. The beef was delicious. So the total cost of that meal was £12.47. So which was the better carvery? Comment down below which one you preferred. So what was the difference between the two? Well, I would say the meat was more tasty at Toby, but you did get more of it here at the Barnbow. The veg, I think I would call that a draw. They were about the same. Now the gravy, that was better at Toby. It was thicker, which I like, and had more meaty flavour too. So on balance, because the gravy was better at Toby and it goes on everything so affects the flavours of it, I would say Toby Carvery wins this one. Okay, if you liked the video, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey, and I'll see you in the next one.